once I do that,
What happened?
okay.
I see.
Okay.
We got it. Well, all right. Hello, guys. This is April.
Hello.
Hello, April.
Hi.
Hello. Yes, ignore this crazy camera. We are in real time today, folks. So, April Patterson, host and creator of Respectfully April, coming to you live with World Class Icon Studio. And I am super excited to be interviewing them today. As I said, we are real time. I can't help this little camera here, so we're just gonna rock with it. But today on this week's episode, I have the honor of speaking with local legends of Detroit, Michigan, Mr. Reco Brown, affectionately Dad, and Mr. and Mrs. Curtis Lewis of World Class Icon Studios, LLC. On today's episode, we're going to discuss World Class Icon Studios' mission, as well as the positive impact that the organization has made in the African-American community in Detroit and surrounding areas. I want to say from the bottom of my heart to you all, thank you so much for saying yes to coming on the show. It is an honor to have you, especially for Black History Month.
Thank you.
I'm super excited to dive in and to learn more about you all. So, Mrs. Lewis, I am going to ask you to kick things off, giving us an overview of who you are and your background, and then you can turn it over to the others, and we'll do like a round robin so the folks can know who you all are.
Okay, that's great. I'm going to start off with saying I happen to have the pleasure of being the co-owner of World Class Icon Studios, and as well as the COO. I'm a journalist by profession. I graduated from Wayne State University here in Detroit, in our beloved home, Detroit.
Wow.
And my master's I have at LTU for technical writing. I love journalism. Although we're doing children's books, the amount of research that all of these books that we do require when we investigate legacy situations is perfect for me.
Wow.
And it's perfect for our company. I've also worked with the Detroit Free Press as well as the Birmingham Eccentric. So I am just elated about what I do.
Wow.
And I do it every day, all day.
Wow. Well, we need more people like you in the world, like you all in the world. The fact that you care and you love your community so much and that you've dedicated your life to that, that's just beautiful. Who would like to go next?
Yes, my name is Curtis Lewis, and I'm an artist, and I'm the CEO of World Class Icon Studio. I'm first an artist. I studied at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago and University of Chicago. And as an artist, I've painted a lot of murals. I worked for a lot of people. In the civil rights world, I've done work and met with people from Reverend Jesse Jackson to Angela Davis. In the sports world, I've done work for and met with people from Muhammad Ali when he was champion to Tiger Woods.
Wow.
I've done work for mayors, governors, presidents, and so on. With our company, we have our books have gone as far north as Alaska, as far south as Australia. We have books that have gone into the Middle East. At the present time, we are working on projects that we're doing for leaders in Africa as well as Europe. And so it's exciting, but the most excitement that I find is doing the coloring books for the children, because you're planting seeds, putting it in their hands. And I think that.
Wow, that's an accomplishment. That's amazing. Dad, well, the people need to hear from you, Dad.
My name is Reco Brown. I serve as on the board of directors of World Class Icon Studio. I'm one of the senior board of directors. I've been there probably the longest director, sales in media, right? Media advertisement as well as so basically, I'm the middleman between here now. That's how we do it. We have a long relationship. I basically done that in television and radio. I've doing that. And I've also worked with my own business. I think I've been working with a lot of different music. I'm also a musician, writer, producer, director of music.
Mhm.
Basically, between that and working with my lovely grandchildren and my children and seeing people like you all the time, that's what I do. Working with people like Big Brother, Big Sister. I love here. This is my passion. We have a relationship that goes over 50 years.
Wow, that's beautiful. Dad, we're catching the word. We can hear you, but it's a little, every now and then it goes out a little bit more. If you can come in, that would be awesome.
No problem.
Yeah, no, that's good. So that's perfect. I heard you. I just want to make sure that as we continue to go, that we can continue to hear you. So that is great. Wow. So when I said that I am amongst greatness and legends, I absolutely meant that. It is just wonderful to be in your presence. And I mean, to hear all of the different initiatives and the experiences that you've had your hands in, like that is just super awesome. Like, I am so excited. So why don't we just dive in and say, so let's talk about World Class Icon Studios and the mission. What's your mission? Why was, and how was it founded?
World Class Icon Studios was founded around my husband. I'm just going to be real honest about it. He paints and he paints and he paints, and we have to find a way to support him and surround ourselves and surround him with the support that he needed to get the messages across that we all want to see in this vision of World Class Icon Studios. So all the artwork that you see is what he does, and Reco and I are definitely supporting.
Wow.
Mhm.
So Mr. Curtis, Mr. Lewis or Curtis, Mr.
Either
Curtis,
one is fine.
which either way. Okay. So why don't you, so that is cool. That's cool to hear. Like, it was literally founded around you and created around your passions. And so how old were you when you started painting?
When I first started drawing, very young man. Professionally, I sold my first picture when I was about 12. And everything went on and on after that. But what I want to say about World Class Icon, what actually got me into coloring. I was down in Atlanta. My brother was at Morehouse, and he was telling me about a project that one of his colleagues did. And he said he wrote a coloring book on one of the leaders. When they showed it to me, I looked at the coloring book, and it was stick figured, and there was nothing about it that you could really color. But I thought that the concept of doing a coloring book on a Black leader was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
To actually put a story about us in our coloring book, and then putting that in the hands of the children.
Yeah.
Because the coloring book is one of the most powerful books ever created. Sometimes people think of it, well, that's kid stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's for the kids, but what it is about the power of the coloring book, the first book that we actually entrust a child with even before he can read.
Mm-hmm.
And today, the coloring book business have blown up so large until the adult coloring books almost outsell. And so we're happy that we can take the stories and we can take our story
Mhm.
and put it in the form of a coloring book. Then what happens is actually as an artist, a painting I can only sell one time. But
Mhm.
creating a storybook or a coloring book is something that, you know, many places, even places that we've never been, our name and work is there.
Wow. That
It's so
is really,
therapeutic.
yes. Okay, Dad. So let's talk about that. So I know I was looking through some of the pictures on the website. I saw Katie, I saw TJ, I saw, so what can you say, like, and from a therapeutic perspective, like, can you expound on that a little bit?
Basically, a lot of seniors are drawing, a lot of seniors are reading. It's education. They can sit down and read to their grandchildren, and they can actually sit and color with their grandchildren. At an older age, I mean, we colored, when we were young kids, we colored, but we didn't have history along with it. There was nothing that we relate to Black people, as we know. Now we can share that experience with our grandkids, as well as being therapeutic, sitting there with them and enjoying the time with your grandkids, or even by yourself, just there, drawing and reading, and educating yourself on a little bit more of the form of what has happened to some of our ancestors and others.
Wow, yes. I cognitively, I know that I've read some studies that coloring it can be very instrumental with individuals that have had strokes or something like that, to kind of help them with getting back their motor skills and things like that. So which I find that's just be fascinating. So there are ways, but the beautiful thing around the book, the coloring book itself, because I think, Miss Cynthia, you said it's a reading, color, and workbook. So tell me about the workbook aspect. Like, talk about, let's put
I'd
first
like
off,
to talk about the reading and the workbook aspect.
yes,
Because that is paramount.
yes.
And they have to go together, at least in our case, they do. It allows me to be able to, which is what I love to do, which is part of what a journalist does. We tell stories.
Well,
Thank you, dear.
Yes, she does.
Very, yes.
And it's about legacy.
Okay.
It's about our legacy.
Okay.
We find ourselves here in 2023. It's at the top of the political scene where they're actually discussing how our legacies should not be introduced into the school system.
Yeah.
Which is absurd as far as I'm concerned, because as far as any of us are concerned, because without the African American, where would America be?
Right. Right.
We are the music.
We are.
the food.
Mhm.
Our ancestors built this country. This country would not have the wealth that it has and be the superpower of the world.
Because we are super, like, yes.
This is big. Serious.
Wow.
So it's really something that, it seems like we're talking about doing this in high school, but really we need to be doing this with our children right now, especially when you look at the blowback that we're getting. By the time they get into high school, the what is that expression about the horse is already out of the bottom? There is a lecturer, diversity lecturer. I call her our white soul sister. Her name is Jane Elliott. And she talks about the fact that from kindergarten to 12th grade, if all you hear and all you learn is that someone at one race has invented everything, has discovered everything, they are the authors of everything, well then the only thing that conclusion you come to is racism. That works both ways.
Right. So, okay. So now I know this is why I told you all, this is a conversation. I can have my 5 questions, but based on this conversation, I may not even get to all of the questions. Have you found that the coloring book okay, so couple of questions. What spaces have you broken, where have you broken the barriers? And has your work actually created an opportunity to have those difficult conversations with our white counterpart, our white brothers and sisters?
If I may answer that, I want to take it back. Where I want to go, when I was a child, and when it came to books, there were no Black people in our books. There were no Black people in our storybooks. There were no Black people in our American history books. There were no Black people in our world history books.
Mhm.
And when we colored each other, we didn't even pick up the brown crayon to color ourselves in. It was almost like Black people was invisible. And when I was a child, I was not aware of us doing anything. The only name I was familiar with that I heard of celebration at that time, remember this was before Martin Luther King thing, was Joe Louis.
Mm.
And since my name was Curtis Lewis, I told everybody Joe Louis my cousin.
Mm.
Gave me something to be proud about.
I probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah. Now, well, I say that to say this. Somewhere along the line, somebody decided, well, okay, I don't know if it's from pushback, I don't know if it's from pressure, it's from guilt or whatever. Okay, we're going to have Black history. We'll give them February. First of all, they said, well, we'll give them a chance to kind of express their little history, etc. As if Black history is a entree, or as if it's just something of dessert that's on the table. But the real history and the real and the real scheme of things is this: that if this man had $246 and this man had $4 million, which one is the richest? Okay, I say that to say this: American history only been around for 246 years. Black history have been around for millions of years. We are not an entree. We are the main dish.
Okay.
There is no American history without Black history. If American history never was, Black history is. So when you take it back to the real aspect of history, and this is one reason why we enjoy and feel it's our mission, me, Cynthia, Reco, is to get our history out there where it should be, is because they are trying to eliminate our history. And first of all, when it comes to history, and that's why we wrote the book on pharaohs, emperors, kings, and queens.
Okay.
When I came along, we didn't know. We were not taught that we were pharaohs, emperors, kings, and queens, but they tried to give us the impression our history started in slavery. Our history do not start in the cotton fields of Mississippi. It do not start in the tobacco fields in South Carolina or the sugarcane field. Our history predates it predates American history. And if you know this, and then I'll pause. That's all I can do is pause. Is this: if you look at every single island in the Pacific or in the Atlantic, if you look at the people, they are dark complexion.
Yeah.
If you look at the earliest pictures of American Indians, they are darker than what you see today because now they have mixed.
Right.
If you look at every country, every different continent, you'll know that they started off dark. And so that's all part of Black history. That's who we are. And
Right.
last but not least, when it comes to the historians, when it comes to the archaeologists, when it comes to everyone, the scholars and so on, Black history is first. So that means, in a nutshell, that the first man that ever took a breath was a Black man in Africa. And if that is so, which it is, then Black history predates all history.
This is a good place that we can bring in our mission now, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Our mission is about legacy. That's what it is. It's about our legacy. And we promote that legacy through this art. We do it in our coloring, in our reading books. And we like to encourage our audience to dream. It is so important that they dream and that they become innovators and that they know that who they are, they can be so much more. The skies are the limit. Because when you look at where we came from and where we are today, you can see there's nothing that stops it. We just keep going on and on, no matter what anybody tries to do.
Yeah.
Cover up, to get in our way, we just keep moving. This is
Wow.
what we do.
That's so how is it received in the non-Black communities? Like, have you had any challenges with breaking any of those barriers? Like, has that been a focus? Or what about, your books being placed in the library and the school districts? Like, what's the talk about that or the thought about that?
One of the wealthiest communities in Michigan is Rose. And that's where the auto barons history from Henry Ford to Chryslers and other auto barons grew up or lived and so on. For a long time, Black people could not even live. We have been accepted by them, and we have done events at the libraries. They have bought our books. We have been accepted in a very big way. Matter of fact, one of the largest Catholic churches in that community, we were there. They invited us for Black History about a week ago. And they love our books. And they love what we're doing. We have been embraced by the Catholic Church. We have been embraced by our churches. We know that you're going to always have your Ron DeSantis, people like that making noise.
Yeah.
And that's all they're doing.
What it is, noise.
But one thing about that is after their agenda is gone, after they are gone, Black history will still stand. We do this with our books and with Black history, we debate no. We're not there to debate. We're there to make a statement. That's what we do. For far too long, we have been fed history and been fed education by somebody that did not and do not look like us. And if you think about it, they say, oh, we'll give you Black history, we'll give you February. But when they say they give you math, they give you math books. When they say they give you science, they give you science books. When they say they give you English, they give you English books.
Right.
They do not give you Black history books. So it's up to us as a people, writers, the music writers, the artists, and so on. It's up to us to put our message together and present to our children, and not count on someone else to do it for.
That is such a great point. As parents, and it is up to us. Because education definitely starts at home, right? It definitely says, out of the womb, we are learning. Even in the womb, like, you can still learn while you're in the womb. Like, you can read to your child, you can put the headphones on the belly and they can hear and listen and all the things. So I do agree with you when you say that it starts at home. And so let's talk about then some of your international connections, because that is fascinating. That you have individuals talking about, or bringing you over. Like, what has been your experience in that space?
Well, when I was young, I was told, because we had been programming for people, that do not paint black because there's no money in it. There's no people. But I did not choose black art. Black art was in me when I was born.
Mhm.
And so no one else is ashamed of what their art is. Why is it our art put into a category? Okay, and I'm still going to answer your question internationally. But when you think about it, what is black art? Is black art the art that a white child draw of Martin Luther King, or is it the flower that a black child draw? The flower that a black child draw. So in reality, what is black art?
Right.
Just because in reality, is it the art or is it the artist?
Right.
So what we try to do is this: which art? I will say this too. I've been commissioned by black churches and white churches, like baptismal saints. For a white church, they want me to paint a white Jesus and put him in the baptism. I don't have a problem with it. If a black church wants me to paint a white Jesus in a baptismal scene, I will not do that. I will not do it because of this. When it comes to that white church, that's just business. But when it comes to our people, I feel like their conscience should be enough to be proud of who we are.
Yeah.
I have a painting right now that went to one of the largest churches in Africa. It's the largest in Nigeria, their leader.
Wow.
But I also have another painting that went to, a few months before that, went to Ukraine. They're taking that to get it signed by the president of Ukraine, Zelensky. And so I have work that's gone national and international. But the thing is this here, is where your heart is. Every country have analyzed America, even if they can't speak English, broken or whatever. When those merchants come, they go into our community because they have studied our culture from afar, and they come here to get paid off of our culture. My thing is, when it comes to me painting, whatever, it's a business when it's over there. When it's our people, then it's our heritage.
That is so beautiful.
And so that's the way I look at it as an artist.
That is beautiful. Can I want to know, I know y'all been knowing each other a long time, and you actually, as I'm watching you, the three of you, you literally are just family. Like, I can tell that. Can you just kind of like, how did the connection? It's so beautiful. I think that friendship and family is just everything. So the fact that the three of you all work together to make this happen. So can you talk a little bit about that?
I'll start. We've been knowing each other for over 50 years. I'll let Curtis go.
Well, first, let me say this. Let's keep it real. The two of them, they will have their 50th anniversary. 51st. This year.
Oh, just being friends?
Yes.
Because when I was a little boy, 51.
They've known each other longer than my husband and I, than the three of us.
When I was a little boy, 51 years ago, I was a little child, and Reco babysitting me. We used to call him Mr. Reco.
Mr. Reco?
No,
Hey.
he's like,
even though I'm older than Reco. So that's how far our history
He's a
goes back.
comedian too.
I see, because I'm thinking, I'm over here doing the math and I'm like, really?
Now, you don't have to do the math on that. Yeah,
Wow.
we are a family. We laugh together. We cry together. We grew up together, and we all are one. And each one of us will stand up for the other. We can say whatever we want to say about each other, but y'all better not say nothing about us because we will
Right,
stand
right,
for
right,
each other.
right.
During the pandemic, I'm so worried. Both of them got COVID at the same time. They were on 2 different floors in the hospital.
Oh,
But God,
Okay.
oh my
they couldn't
God.
even see each other. That was the hardest part.
Oh,
I couldn't see neither one of them.
oh my God. That
There was no
is,
visitation.
oh, wow. That
But the
I'm
blood-
sure was tough because do you guys talk every day, all day? Like what do you pretty
all the
much?
time.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
And I would say that we're blessed to have each other, and we work in a family. In this business, we work as a
Which is, and I'm gonna tell you something, as Black people, we don't do well with working with each other. So it's, you know, we struggle with that. Like
No,
I
you tell, okay.
you know, I have heard that, like, and I've witnessed it, I've experienced it. It's beautiful to see that you know, you are an example that no, if you start with your heart and you have love for each other, then it makes it really easy to do, you know. As you said, like 50 years of friendship, like there is why wouldn't you do something great together? That's really, and then they adopted you into the pack. And so now it's the 3 of you, Miss Lewis. So that's awesome. That's really, really beautiful. So I know that you all are actually one of the first to embark upon the hybrid blending of reading, history, visual arts, into coloring and reading and comic books, which is just fascinating. So how did you, and then also the murals, like, you know, let's talk about that piece of it. I see it. It's beautiful. We can talk about that piece back there if you want, behind you. It's gorgeous.
The one behind me is called Breathless.
It's called what?
Breathless.
Wow, breathless.
It's called Breathless because
I see why it's called.
after I got out of the hospital from COVID,
Wow.
I was on oxygen for 8 weeks. And on that 8th week, I was looking at my phone on the internet and I saw this white police officer knee on a Black man's neck. And I thought to myself, how humiliating for someone to be so arrogant to do that to a man. It was not until the next day that I found out that young man, George Floyd, died, and that this police officer suffocated him with his neck. And so then I was talking to my wife because I was, as they say, my spirit was so disturbed. I told her, I got to paint. I got to paint this picture. And I thought, well, there were several people painting George Floyd, so I said, I'll include, you know, a few other people in it as well, like some of the other people like Breonna Taylor and so on and so on. And I'll maybe put about 5 or 6 people around him. And she said, no. She said, you got to put all of them. I said, all of who? All the people that were killed by police officers and so on and so on. I said, I don't even know how many. And so I asked the Lord, show me what to do, how to do this. If you look over my shoulder, you see some pictures, some little heads near the bottom.
I see that.
Those little heads are done, they're on both sides. Those little heads are done like out of a high school class book. And their names are under them. Then on one side, I put the men. And then I said, I got to put the women. But I said, I can't mix them because if you mix them, they still only see men.
Mhm.
And when we began to do this, and I began to do these stories, we said it didn't start here. Where did it start? So I had to take it all the way back into time, and into the civil rights movement, and on beyond that to our pioneers like Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth, and so on. But in the middle, there was a man that we thought about, and he did nobody no harm. But this man was arrested. He was innocent. He was beaten. He was tried. He had a bad trial. And then they hung him on the cross. And he too was a bad. And so through it all, we began to come up with this concept, and I painted it. And the sad thing was, every time I thought I was just finished, then I hear about someone else getting killed on the news, shot by police or whatever. Then I had to try to make room. We couldn't put all the faces on there. So at the bottom, you see a yellow strip. That yellow strip represents the police crime tape.
Oh,
On
wow.
that strip are about 200 more names. There's over 110 people in that picture. And I was talking with someone who's doing a documentary on it now, and they want to get it out in the summer. I said, by that time, they'll probably get enough.
Wow.
But that's what happened because I had to get out of my sick bed. And at that time, I couldn't even hold. And my wife told me that there were times, because I did so much research on each story, each person, that sometime I would be moaning and groaning in my sleep. But somebody had to paint it. And so that's just one of the paintings that we have. I call it breathless because so many times they said, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. So I didn't want to use the I can't breathe, but I knew the common denominator of most of those, all those people that were attacked. The common denominator was the fact that they all wound up.
And he was breathless when he started.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
A neighbor hold a paintbrush.
so you know when, oh wow, like that is just, and so I feel the emotion behind that. You know, the fact that that was the vision that came to you when you were struggling with breathing is just how God works. Like he, you know, and you're so gifted and you're so talented.
And he
And
lost his brother during the same time.
oh wow. Wow. That's pretty dynamic. So, you know, as I was listening to you talk, so Jesus died for our sins. This question just came to me, and I don't know, you all can answer this from a biblical, religious standpoint, however, spiritual standpoint, however you want. Do you think that the people killing us took that story and like made it their literal, like this was history anyway, so we just gonna keep it going?
Well, if you look at the history of America and the police force, the first police force was in Virginia, and the name of the police force, and it had the badge, and on the badge it said Police Slave Patrol.
Mhm.
It was built upon catching Black people who escaped for freedom. And that's what the police force was built upon. So that is the DNA of the police department. And see, and when it comes to America, and not just America, but the world, God favored the Black. That's why he put them on the continent and made them first and put them on the richest continent in the world. And the black man, and another thing about these kings and queens in this book is black man at that time, they did some killing, you know, it was maybe land dispute or they were hunting or whatever.
Mhm.
But there was somebody else in a different land. They were
Mhm.
using their energies and everything and say, how can I kill somebody? When we were honoring our ancestors and had respect and so on and so on, they were saying, well, okay, now how can I stand 6 feet away without them killing me and I kill them? They came up with the little gadgets and so on. And as they came up with the gun and so on, then they said, now how can I be across the room where I don't get hurt? I can kill somebody over there. How can I kill more than one? And then it was like, how can I be on a boat and shoot a cannon and kill a bunch of people over there? The Bible says, and I'm not saying this out of hate or whatever else, I'm just saying what the Bible says. The Bible said the enemy comes to kill. They killed our people. Steal, they stole our land and destroyed. They tried to destroy our history. Now, when I speak, I know we're all passionate enough. It's just that the truth have to get out there. And we understand that our people have been programmed so until we realize that we can't change baby boomers. We can't change the different people, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one reason why the Lord has given our ministry, so put it in a coloring.
Wow.
Put it in a coloring book.
Yeah.
And let them find out that they come from pharaohs, emperors, kings, and queens. That the first royalty that you did not learn in American history, first royalty was a pharaoh named Menes. And it's in his book. He was also called Menes. He was also called Narmer. He was the first king, first pharaoh. You come down a few dynasties to the first female pharaoh, that was Hatshepsut. She was the daughter of Thutmose I. She was the sister of Thutmose II, who married because royalty had to marry royalty. And then she was the stepmother of Thutmose III. And when Thutmose II died, what she did was, Thutmose III was 10. Took the garb, she took everything and made herself a pharaoh. But when you look at it, our history, you also look at this. We have 3 queens in this book. World history was based on 3 queens, and they were Cleopatra, who was the most famous. Nefertiti, who was the most beautiful queen. And then there was Makeda, Queen of Sheba, who was the richest. But that's world history. When it came to Cleopatra, Shakespeare made her mulatto. Hollywood made her Elizabeth Taylor. So that's part of that still. And so that's why it's important to let them know it's not about Trump, it's not about Rockefeller. What it's about, the richest man that ever walked the earth wasn't even Solomon. Who was he, Senator?
Mansa Musa.
Mansa Musa was a Mali king. If our children, and not just our children, if our people knew who they really were and are, and that they come from pharaohs, emperors, kings, and queens, descendant of royalty, heirs to a dynasty, it would change and uplift our people. And so that's why it is important that we do what we do, because they're not going to do it for us. And so that's why queens like Aretha Franklin, who was a friend of mine and I was her artist, keeping the legacy.
That is so amazing. Okay, so you touched on it. You've touched on legacy and why it's so important. And that was literally my next question. Creating a legacy is important. So you've touched on that. So what does, for you each individually, what does creating a legacy mean to you?
Well, legacy means to me is paving the future, because without the past, we have no future. Children cannot go where they need to go because they don't know where we've been. In order to respect where you're going, you have to respect where you've been, because the Bible speaks of the elders being able to give the wisdom. The young man has the strength. But if you don't have the wisdom to know where you're going, how you going to do it? So we have to be able to pave their way first, so our children can have a future. Because years from now, they'll be able to look back at this and say, I remember this, I saw this. Because without that, how can you say it? You don't know where you're going because you don't know where you've been. You have to bring the future up to where the past is, so you can go on and beyond that. Because where we are right now, we're standing on the shoulders of people who done just that for us. We would never be where we are being stood on their shoulders. They had the same belief because that's why they did it, because their parents did it and their grandparents did it. So now we have to pay it forward. Make sure that our kids know, each and every one of them know that you have a future. You have, because you are somebody.
Yes.
You're not a nobody. You're not an idiot. You are somebody. You can learn over and beyond things that is there for public for you to learn. I mean, we look at the black judges now that we have. She's going to set all new trends. A lot of things is going to take place that she's going to set forth that nobody's else been able to do it, because it's her turn to do it. And due to history, now she has a place in history to set forth for somebody else. Because it's bigger than her. It's about somebody else coming behind her. A lot of young ladies looking at her saying, I can be judged one day on the Supreme Court. So we want to continue that future going on, giving them some insight that this is not where it ends at, this is where the story begins. Let's keep it going.
Mhm.
The chain is only as big as you let it go, but you got to put the mass link in order for it to extend.
Mm.
So we're going to make it as a future, as a people. God is going to see to it that we do. All we have to do is continue to keep God in front of us and just look at our legacy of where we've been and take it on forward so our kids can have something to fall back on.
Yes, 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 yes.
Now, it is our responsibility
Yes.
as the adults to teach our children.
Mhm.
We talk about, what they need to be doing in the school system, but it's really our own responsibility.
Mhm.
When I think about legacy, Black history, I can't help but think about my own mother.
Mm.
And my experience with my own mother was, and ironically, when I look back on it, it amazes me because I didn't realize until I was an adult what it was she was trying to do for me. By the time I was 7 years old, I had already read Malcolm X.
Wow.
My mother flooded me.
Mm.
And when I say flooded me, I mean, I'm talking about Native Son, Richard Wright, Maya Angelou, Gwendolyn Brooks, all of the Renaissance, James Baldwin, everybody.
Mhm. Mm.
H. Rap Brown, Eldridge Cleaver. She gave me the most impressive
Mm.
Black history
That's
literature.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and it blows my mind because until I was 45, I thought that's what everybody's mother was doing.
No.
I didn't know that.
It's not.
I know. I mean, I realized that when
Even
I talked
for
to some of
me,
my
I will
friends.
say, like, even for me, I've dropped the ball there. Like, really, now they're older and, they're older and they're getting that history for themselves. But no, and I would say even like growing up, I wasn't fed that. So no, it wasn't, and I'm 53 years old. So it wasn't consistently.
By the time I was 10, I had read Narrative of Frederick Douglass 3 times.
Wow.
I had a crush.
That's
okay?
so beautiful.
A big crush of Frederick Douglass.
That's so beautiful.
He had a cool afro.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He did have a cool afro, though. He did.
So it's like, when I think about what we're doing here, this is what I call legacy. And as you can see, it's deeply rooted. It was a seed that was planted inside of me.
Wow.
I mean, it has to be done because I recognize what it did for me. When I came up, I always thought I was the stuff.
See, look
And
at
he's still
that.
Thank you, baby.
That is,
But
that's so
do you know what I'm saying? And our
Yeah,
kids,
that's
they
right.
need to know that
early. It's important to plant that seed early.
early.
It
See,
is
they
so
having this
important.
debate about high school, and I'm like, high school,
Mhm.
this needs to be like right now.
Like right now, right now. Wow. Mr. Curtis.
Legacy, when I think of legacy, I think of the little duck. When a baby duck is born, hatches, and he looks around him, the first thing that he see move thinks that's who he is. That's what he wants to be. If he sees a cat around him, he will follow that cat thinking he's a cat. If he sees a dog, he'll follow that dog. If he sees a squirrel, he'll do the same, thinking that that's who he is, because he don't know who or what he is. And so many of our people still don't know who or what they are. So they're following after other things. They're following after Gucci. They're following after this name or that name, that brand. And I gotta have this, that, or the other. I think about my dear grandmother that I love so much. And she allowed me when I was 19 to stay at her house. She had a big, beautiful house, a huge house in Grand Rapids. And it sat on a hill. It was a mansion because the house next to it that they also owned that was connected to it was where the servants lived once upon a time.
Oh.
And this attic was beautiful. It was modern, anyway. It was modern, done at that time. And she let me have a studio. I painted a picture. When I got through, I said, let me show Grandma. It was a picture of just the head of Christ. It was down, you could see the blood, you could see the crown of thorns of a Black Christ. And I said, let me go show this to Grandma. I took it downstairs. I said, Grandma, I want to show you something. And she said, well, what do you have, son? And I showed her the picture. And she said, and she looked at me and looked at the picture and she said, well, what is this, son? I said, Grandma, this is the head of Christ. Looked at that Black Christ. Looked at her Black grandson. Looked at the Christ. She said, son, I think you need to look at some more pictures of Jesus. In other words, she had been imprinted. Just like so many of our people have been imprinted. And so unless your history is presented to you, then your legacy is already damaged about what a legacy should be. And so that's why it's so important for me to paint who I am.
Right.
And to get these books in the hands of the children. And more, we're now being accepted by, we're now being accepted by a school system that wouldn't give us the time of the day.
That's beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is really, really awesome.
I just want to say one more thing about, if you go to our website, wcis.info, you'll see legacy. And what I mean by that is you'll see our family.
Yeah.
Rico's family is practically a whole website. As far as his grandkids,
Yeah.
and Rico's in it. Rico's children are in it. Our nephews and nieces are in it. But that's our legacy. And we want to show the world. That's what World Class Icon is about. We do more than just what we're preaching. We practice.
That's right. And I know, Dad's family, like, okay, so Joy and Tim, best friends of mine, like they are my brother and sister.
I push them all the time. I've always told Joy, you're more than what you think you are. You can do anything.
Mhm.
And she believes that because I pushed it in her all the time, her and her brother.
Yeah,
Even her mom, I tell them, man, there's so much history that we don't know where we're going until we know where we've been. We have to do that because they stopped books back then. Now they're trying to stop them again. There's a reason for that. They don't want you to be educated.
they don't want
But
you to
have
be
to.
educated.
You have to pass this word on because we have a legacy that we have to continue to preserve.
Beautiful.
Without that, you're nothing. And with the young people today, they want to be heard. We're listening to you. We want you to know we're listening to you. So
Mhm.
say something. Say something. Don't
Love
think that we
that.
let you down. We didn't let you down. We're listening to you, but show us that you're willing to listen, to learn something that we can all do together, not apart, but together.
And
Yeah.
if I may piggyback on that, that's why we do these coloring books, so that the family can interact, because a lot of them need to learn what's in the book as well. And what we at WCIS.com, .info. Thanks for correcting. WCIS.info. Our thing is we want children to take your face out of Facebook and put a book in your face. And that's what we're about, because that's when you're gonna learn.
Yeah, I'm glitching over here because I'm trying to type the website again in the chat. The chat is, or the website is, what is it again?
WCIS.info.
Is it at something or it's just?
No, it's
Okay.
.info.
All right.
Mhm.
That
And my
is,
website, if you want to see some of my artwork, is curtislewisstudio.net. Curtis Lewis Studio.
so
.net.
Curtis
Yeah.
Lewis Studio
.net.
.net. Got it. Curtis Lewis Studio, no S at the end.
Studio, no S.
.net. Got it. That's beautiful. So what's next for WCIS? I know you guys are, what are you? I know. You're never stopping. You are always, you're forever, you're creating a legacy. So do you want to talk about, a next event that you're hosting?
Well,
you're going to be featured. Tell the folks where you're headed next.
Michelle Obama is on the drawing board right now. Forever First Lady.
Ooh, I can't wait to see.
And
Yes.
that will make this book a set.
Oh, that is just gorgeous. So has President Obama seen the book?
Yes, he has.
He has.
Yes, he has. The book is at his foundation now in Chicago.
Wow.
And they said it will be in the library when his presidential library is finished. It will be there.
Oh man, I'm so proud of you guys. It feels so
Thank
good.
you.
I'm just honored to just even be able to talk to you. Like that is.
Well, we were honored to be able to be interviewed by you.
Yes.
Privilege is all ours.
It is. This has been, probably one of the best interviews I've done.
Thank you.
I appreciate the time. I appreciate the history, the legacy. I appreciate the three of you for caring about our culture and our children and our community enough to devote your lives to making sure that we know that we stay woke, as they say.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we were invited to be on another program at this time, another taping or whatever, but we told them we would be on your show instead. And I think Oprah got an attitude, but it doesn't matter.
Oprah girl, you hear that, honey? That gave exclusive.
Sorry, Oprah, but this is where we at.
Respectfully.
I love it.
Yes,
I love it.
respectfully.
Respectfully.
Like, Listen, I love it. Thank you so much for passing up that Oprah, honey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trust me. Oh, wow, that was.
It
so-
has to be a team effort though.
I
You know what I'm
see.
saying?
Yeah.
I don't mean just us, I mean you too.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
We all have to do this,
Yes, we do. We
you know, and
absolutely.
we're doing it.
Yeah, we absolutely are doing it. We got to
God
do
is
it.
good.
There's so much greatness going on. That's why I was so excited about talking to you all today, because we see all the the people that get all the accolades, but I think it's really, really, really important for those who are actually not just talking about it, but y'all are being about it. It is literally
Thank you.
where you are talking the talk and walking, you're doing it. And so
I may say, stay tuned, there's more to come.
stay tuned,
There
people.
is.
There's more to come. And on
There
that
is.
note, I am going to wrap things up. This is your girl,
All right.
April, on Respectfully April podcast. This is actively being streamed live on Facebook. I am going to upload it onto YouTube, where it will live there forever. And so,
Right.
yeah, so we just gonna, Dad, you
And
already
let me
praised
just
the
say this.
technology. That technology has.
Before this year is out,
Mhm.
we will be in all the big box stores,
Okay.
our books,
Yes.
and we will also have our bookstore on Amazon.
Wow.
So
That
it'll
is
be,
so cool.
And
Yes.
Aretha coloring book is already on Amazon.
Oh, wow. Okay, so what I want to do after this, Miss Cynthia, I'm going to reach out to you. I want you to give me all the links to how to buy the coloring book on Amazon and all the things. Also how they can purchase the Pharaoh. What is it? What's the
I
title?
come from.
I Come From Pharaoh.
Mhm.
Or I Come From is what it's called. But I definitely want to provide a link so that people can go and learn, just need to be educated.
Okay.
But thank you so much. Thank you so much. Again, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, thank you.
You
Thank
are
you.
so welcome. Welcome. Stay put
Okay.
for me. I don't know. This is actually my first time doing this through Zoom and streaming live. So stay put and we're going to see what happens. Let's see. Right
We
now.
thought we didn't know what we were